Welcome to Super Soul Sisters. My name is Jamila Oluka and you're watching UBC TV Inspiring Uganda. Thank you so much for watching Super Soul Sister. Thank you for following us, for those who have been following us, and for you who has just started watching, thank you for joining Super Soul Sisters. This program airs every Wednesday around 9 p.m. and also I repeat on Fridays, 11 a.m. And also if you miss out any of our episodes, you can catch us on YouTube. Same name, Super Soul Sisters, and you get inspired by what ladies share here on this platform. I also want to give gratitude to Dotash for giving us such a beautiful place. I always tell you that if you want anything, if you want your home to look that flamboyant, fabulous, like those homes you see on Hollywood, you're like, oh my God, yeah, this is the place you can come and get your stuff and beautify your home. Make your home a home. On Super Soul Sisters, we make sure that we share our stories as sisters. We bring in inspirational stories. We bring in stories that have not been heard before, stories that will evoke your empathy, stories that will create change in your life, stories that will resonate with you. So today, we are having one of those ladies. I think she's among the few ladies we have in Uganda who has written a book about singlehood. Let's delve into the conversation. You're most welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
for
Kellen.
having me.
So tell us a little bit about who Kellen is.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's such an honor. I've been watching it and I'm so pleased to also be here. My name is Kellen Nakaye. I'm a Ugandan. I was born here. My mom has passed, but she was called Joyce Zarango. My dad is called James Kabonge. I'm a Muganda, not mixed at all, and I've grown up here in central Kampala. Yes.
If you're Muganda, tell us, Dirachi.
Yes, I'm the Mamba clan. Nakaye, we are from Mamba clan.
Yes. So now, Kellen, I would like you to tell us your childhood story.
There was a school called BBC in Makindye, so that's where I went for kindergarten, and then later I went to Molly and Poe in Chibuye. Then I went to Bishop Senior School Mukono. Then I went to Lugazi Mixed, which is now Nalia Campus Lugazi. Then I went to Makerere University.
Before you go there, they call it in Uganda, you're taking us very fast. Yes. I want you to tell us your life as a child in nursery, in primary. Okay, if you were a writer, if we're to rewind, like assuming it's a film, we go back.
I grew up an only child, and I grew up in a single parent home. By the time I was going to even baby class, I was living with just my mom, and then in the holidays I got to live with my grandma, my maternal grandmother. For my mom, by the time she died, I was still her only child, but my dad, when I was 19, he started having other children, so he has 4 sons now. So because I was always at home alone, I was used to doing everything by myself. So even when I went to school, I wasn't the super social kid. I wasn't the over-friendly kid. I was always so held in. And I was always so focused on school. Like I wanted to do well in school, be a pleasing child. Because I think also the setting of a single parent, right from childhood, there was always stress at home. Like, oh dear, my parents are arguing about this. They are arguing about my school fees. Of course, I would hear those things from like maybe my grandmom and what. And as a child, you learn to be more held in so that you don't cause a lot of trouble. So the writing really came later. I can't say that in my primary, in my secondary, it was evident that I was going to write, but I was just a closed-in child. Yes.
Did you learn to do home chores, or was Kellen this year that Muleke, leave her alone?
It was 50-50. I remember when I was at my grandmom's, and I was the only grandchild that she was raising at that time. The others were in their other homes. So I remember the routine was we wake up in the morning, grandma had cows, so the mulalo would come to milk. We would wake up when the mulalo knocks to milk. He takes the milk, we take to the We used to sell some, then we go to the garden. Of course, she would give me my small hoe, but I would just sit there in the garden. She's like, don't spoil my garden and stuff. So I would be there and maybe I would help carry the food or something. So when I was younger, she would be like, oh, Tolima, ogenda kono nengo ye, oh, Masanda, what? But because I was always alone, like you would be curious, you want to get your hands on things, you're trying to be creative with how you play. So I would do some chores like fetch water or wash dishes, and then things of peeling. Sometimes my grandma would be like, you'll spoil your nice clothes from Kampala.
So where was
Then
grandma
at my
then?
Grandma was in Chanja. By then,
So
Chanja
that
was
is
a
Chanja
village.
was a village?
Yes.
Oh my God, it's good to be born in Kampala.
Then at my mom's, of course, as I grew, yes, my mom would really do much of everything. When I was young, like before 9, 7, I would really just be playing. Like she would cook the food, mop the house.
So what are
wash
those
my
games you
clothes.
played as a child, if you are to remember?
I used to like playing with water. So like my mom would say, if you want this girl to be here and you find her, just give her water and cups. You lock the house, go do whatever you want, and you'll find her. But as I grew, she had her own clinic, so I learned how to work in the clinic. Like I would clean the clinic, I knew how to dispense Panadol, like a few of those things. And then as I grew like in my teens, 12, 13, I knew how to go to the pharmacies in Kampala and buy the medicine. She would write for me, and then I take to the Muindi, then he gives me. So my working was progressive, like whatever was there to do.
Yes, so now let me first take you back to primary.
What I remember, it wasn't always easy for me to make friends. Like I was so scared of all the other kids. Like I would come from home, I'm by myself, then you come in class, there are all these other children.
And making noise.
I was just always quiet, and I'm someone who people would approach. Like those social kids, they would come to me and make friends with me, and then I would have that one friend, like that is my friend.
Who was that friend whom you remember? Are you still friends?
I think sometimes we bump into each other in the way, but I remember like in boarding school, when I first went to boarding school at Molly and Po.
In primary?
Yes.
What class?
I think I was in P3. I had been in P2 at BBC, but when my mom transferred me to Mola and Po, because I was very tall.
I like, Kellen, I like your schools. I think that's why, because when you hear BBC and then now you're a writer, and then there is Molly and Kellen, there are those books of Mills and Boons. So it's like God was, preparing to be a writer. Anyway, first tell us about that.
So when she transferred me there, actually I was supposed to be in P2 because she transferred me in like first term of P2. But because I was tall, she's like, my child would look much older than the other kids. So she's like, she's in P3. So they put me in P3. And they put me in boarding because now I needed a lot of coaching and all. So I think there are two girls. One came, I think I used to show that I'm so timid and shy and fearful. And in boarding schools, there was such a thing of
bullying.
Kids bully you into keeping your grab with them. Like those snacks you take and then like you put together. So if you're a quiet kid, the other one who you've kept with, kugabira. So that was the first friend I met. She's like, you bring, I keep for you your things. And I also just gave.
And what happened? Then
the following week I fell sick. My mom comes to school to pick me and she's checking my suitcase. Where is the juice? And you take some. I'm like, Navukalo kept them for me. Then my mom was like, oh my God. Like I was so fearful. Like you would tell me to do anything and I would do it.
And did you get back your grab?
I don't even know how that friendship ended. I made one good friend really, like she didn't come from a place of bullying me. Like she became like a big sister to me and she would share with me. If Vidi comes and they don't visit me, she comes and shares with me. And we were really good friends until I left that school.
So now where did you go for your secondary?
I went to Bishop Senior School, Mukono. And
Mixed school?
Yes, mixed school, and I was in boarding. And actually, I never even got into the trouble of boys. Grandma would tell us boys and books don't mix. So of course people would come to you and talk to you, but because you've already been sensitized that it is bad, you couldn't even participate. I think in my form 3 or 2, I tried to have a boyfriend.
Tell us.
I was in boarding and he was in day, but it was a whole weird situation for me because we would talk at school and I wouldn't even have what to tell him. I was so blue. I don't even remember how the whole thing ended. I just finished senior 4 and I didn't have someone.
Senior 6, did you go back to the same school?
How I chose Lugazi Mixed, I think my dad had a friend who went to that school, so she told him about it, and that's how I ended up there.
And did you like the school?
It was a Muslim school.
How was the transition from, being a Christian to a Muslim school? Because I know Muslim schools are a bit strict with veiling and prayers.
Yes. Thankfully, Lugazi Mixed had a Christian union, and they would not force us to veil. Actually, people would veil just to grow their hair, but they wouldn't force non-Muslims to veil. Even Muslims wouldn't veil. We had long skirts, but that was the only thing. They wouldn't say you have to veil, you have to do this.
Pray 5 times.
They wouldn't. Even the Muslims were not put under those restrictions. So when I went, I didn't know that it was a Muslim school. I got to know when I got there, and I've been given the admission. And because I was always a compliant child, I didn't really argue, but somehow I found that there was a Christian union, and I became a leader in the Christian union. I became the programmer of the fellowship. So it kind of took away the fact that I'm in a Muslim school.
And
I
you
almost
felt at
didn't
home.
feel it. Yeah.
You're still watching Super Soul Sisters here on UBC TV Inspiring Uganda. We shall be going for a short break, but before we go for a break, we'd like to give credit to Dotash for giving us such a beautiful place, and to implore all of you who are watching right now, spread the message wide. If you want to beautify your home, Dotash has everything that you need to put in your home. Also, we are still here with Kellen. She's going to be coming back to tell us more about her life journey. Welcome back from the break. You are still watching Super Soul Sisters right here on UBC TV Inspiring Uganda with Jamila Oluka. Before we went for a break, we are having a chat and sharing with Kellen, telling us about her life journey, how she grew up as a single child, and going to a Muslim school. I mean, it is a big change in her life, but she was a compliant child. So she'll be telling us more about her life journey. But I would also like to tell you a reminder that this show runs every Wednesday at around 9 p.m. and I repeat every Friday at around 11 a.m. And if you miss by any chance to watch us on TV, you can catch us on YouTube. Having been a child who grew up in a Christian family, you were very compliant and you didn't really find difficulties, blending in with in a Muslim school. So tell us, you told us that when you went there, you became a leader in the Christian Union. So how did they select you even?
I think the leader, I wasn't the head of the union, but I was the programmer of the fellowship. So what a programmer does is you really organize the events of the fellowship. Who is going to preach, who is going to sing, if we have Easter, Easter production, what are we going to do for Easter, things like that. I can't tell what my fellow students thought of me at that time, but we were in fellowship in the evening because they would make us pray in the morning. When the Muslims go to pray, we also go to have morning prayers. And also before prep time, when the Muslims go to pray, we also have prayers before prep. So he walks to me, he's like, I'm going to hand over. For him, he was in O-level. And we need a programmer, and I think you can make a good programmer for the fellowship. And because of course, I already loved the Christian things and I didn't really think to say no or what. I was just like, okay, you will teach me how to do the programming, and I will do. So I think from then on, and for the 2 years that I was at Lugazi Mixed, I was the programmer of the fellowship.
When did you join university? Like after senior six, which university did you go to?
When I finished Form 6, I went to Makerere University. There was a bit of a scuffle because we had financial turmoil at home. Like,
but had you performed well?
I topped the science class that year.
First tell us, which combination did you do?
I did physics, economics, math, and art.
Wow.
So I got 19 points out of 25. By then, they were still out of 25.
Now,
and I was the best in the science class. I don't know who topped the arts class. The issue came because I didn't get government sponsorship. And now there was, when the results came back, of course, even all through this while, school fees had always been an issue. So now university is like a bigger responsibility, and I've not got government scholarship. So there was that thing of, what are we going to do? And for me, I always had that thing of, I have to help my mom, I have to help my parents. Like, if they didn't have school fees, remember when I was in Form 6 back, I really made sure I get a job. Like, my dream was always like, as long as I can
so
work.
what job did you get then in senior 6 back?
I worked at Cafe La Bonita. I worked there as a cashier. And then within that VAC, the things of multi-level marketing came here in Kampala, Forever Living, what? They are promising this much money. And I've also not got government scholarship. I'm like, I could earn my school fees here. So I think I joined also that. And going to university was really a difficult time for me because the atmosphere at home was like, mom was worried. How are we going to afford this? Dad wasn't. He was paying my fees, but it was always a pain. Like, you know, when they send you back home for fees for where you pay 200K or 500K, and now you're going at campus where it is in millions. Like, so when I saved my money at Cafe La Bonita, Forever Living came, I invested my money there. I failed in that business. I've never done a difficult business like that one. And so when it came to going to university, I really didn't know how to go about the private thing, being that I'm the first child. I don't have siblings who have gone before me, so I really didn't know what to do. But I called a friend who I had gone to school with at Bishop's. They were in A-level and I was in O-level, but they were so good at math. So that person would help me with math, physics. So I called him, I'm like, Agre, I need you to help me. I want to get into campus. I don't know how all of this is done. So he calls me at MOOC. He's like, oh, there is this new course. It's called Telecoms Engineering. It's for girls. I think you'll manage. You're bright. Honestly, I had wanted to do, because I was good in math and economics, I had wanted to do things to do with math and economics.
BCom.
Yeah, statistics, what. But now I'm there, I'm puzzled. I'm like, okay, if my friend says so, I put telecoms as my first choice. But of course, I put these other courses that I wanted. Me, I don't know that MOOC, I didn't know that how MOOC works. When you're applying as a private student, what you put first is what they give you.
Yes, first.
I didn't think, I thought maybe they will look at my grades and be like, no, let's give her this.
They look at the grades and then they definitely look at the grades.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I had got like an A in economics. So I thought, so anyway, I find myself doing telecom. And for me, it was just about, I have to get into university. Like maybe both my parents didn't get into university. I have to get into university.
So how did you manage? Because you had earlier mentioned that the issue of school fees was a bit of an issue.
Our faculty tech was always not so stringent by then. Because I remember you'd go study all the lectures, do the coursework, and you've not paid tuition actually in the whole semester. And it's when you're going to do exams that they take your exam permit, and now you can't do exams. So I remember that figure, they would bring it at once, like the tuition, the functional fees, the development fees, like it's demarcated, it's divided, but they give you one figure. My dad would pay as he would, like he gives me maybe half in the middle, maybe towards the end when they've taken
But your
my...
dad paid fees all through.
Yes.
And yet you said you were...
How was I making money? I failed
But
that.
you had said
I made some
that
money.
your mom was a single mom, or...
I made some money because I remember when I worked at La Bonita, I remember I saved like 300K in 3 months, I remember. Then when I was joining that business, the person I was joining under topped up for me, but it was very difficult to do that business and
I
even
know, forever
raise...
to convince people to buy stuff.
And remember me, I'm shy, I'm always introverted, I can't talk, like I'm just there. I think even God's favor was on me because I would really pray. I would really fast. Sometimes I would go to the bus and I'm like, I'm going to pay. And she just gives me my permit when I have like 200 balance or what. There was a time, and this was good. There was a time I went, she's like, Nakaye, this time if you have a balance, I'm not going to give you this exam permit. But I had been praying, and my dad was like, Mwanange, sente zivuze. I'd been praying. I had also been working, but the man I was making was paying my hostel because the course was so heavy. When I commuted the first year, I'm like, I can't be coming from Chanja every day. Let me make my hostel money and pay for myself. So me, I would pay my hostel fees. Somehow she printed my financial statement and it didn't show the balance. She's like, Onye, singa kubaddeko. This time you are not going to do the exams. But actually the balance was there because when I went to clear, that balance reflected.
How much balance was
it
there?
It was about 250.
So that means there. God just blinded that.
God just blinded that one for me. My mom, her clinic at the time wasn't really making money. She had been struggling. That's the time she joined the army. Because she also now had her life, she had to take care of herself. So I didn't have so much of her supporting me in my campus. She would help me with a few things like some upkeep for food, but you know, the expenses of university. I really am glad I got that job. I was teaching violin. I had learned to play classical violin. So
you play violin?
I no longer even play, but back then I would play.
But you can't forget to play.
I'm not really gifted at, because what violin needs, it needs you to have one those musical ear, and me, I was just knowing music for reading, like the music you read and play. If you just play a sound there and tell me play that note, I can't play it because I'll be like, what is that? But I went to this international school and they gave me a job. I was teaching, you know, like people who are starting, the little kids who are starting. And one of those parents, when he found out that I was doing telecom, he's like, you must be good at math and physics. Come and coach my children at home. So that one is the one who gave me the job that sustained me for a whole year. I was coaching math and physics to the son and the daughter.
Teaching, studying, telecom, I mean, and it was a new course by then.
Yes, it was.
And it involved a lot of math and all that.
Okay, I think I'm not a person of physics. I would, because I was just a diligent student, I would, even in school, I fought and did well in physics, but I was really good at math and economics. They came so easy for me. Because even I think I led the math club in A level. I'm the one that teacher, he gave me to lead the discussions. We formed something like a math club, and I would be the one arranging the discussions.
So now when you got out of university, where did you go to?
I really wanted to be a philanthropist. I wanted to be like someone who tells people you have a purpose for your life, follow it, like you have your gifts. That's the kind of work I wanted to be up to.
So you wanted to be a philanthropist?
As if I wanted to be
speaker.
Like, yes, but back then the dream wasn't shaped. Like I didn't have one thought of like, this is it. But I knew I wanted to be somewhere in the speaking and teaching area. Like I write, because I had now become confident. How I started writing actually, because I was always by myself and you're going through all these things and you don't have anyone to talk to, I started keeping a journal. I saw it in a certain movie and the lady would always write Dear Diary and write. So I was so intrigued by that. So all these many disturbing thoughts I would have, your parents are fighting. I found it like the place that was so easy for me to express myself. Like even if I wanted to teach someone something, me who didn't know how to speak, I would write the notes. Even when I wanted to tell my mom something so difficult to tell her, I would write her a letter. And I go put it in her bed so that she can read it because I can't find the words. So anyway, when I finished university, that part-time job had ended. I had tried to make this music thing like a big thing. I remember I wanted to go to Berkeley Music College, and in the US I even went for the interview in Cape Town, and then I didn't go through. So I was really frustrated and scared. I'm like, what am I going to do? So I heard about Miss Uganda. When I was a teenager, my mom would encourage me to go for modeling because I was skinny and tall, and people would tell her, hey, your child can be a model. Your child can be a model. So I would go to Zaipa, Arapapa. Of course, because I was in boarding school, I wouldn't be around for the trainings and what. So I read about beauty pageants. I'm like, hey, beauty queens do philanthropy, they do this. I think it will be a good opportunity for me. So I registered for Miss Uganda. I went, I was in the boot camp. That's the year Stella Nantumbwe won. And then I'm like, I think I don't like the pageants. Of course, you know, when you're there, you're competing against each other. And I wasn't mentally prepared for that. Like, you know, to look beautiful, to be on all these things on point, to try and win.
To catwalk.
Yes, so me, I had really come for, okay, I can become a philanthropist. There is some money they are giving. There is a car. I could start a career. Like, that was my mindset. Because I was just in the top 10. Then I think I also did Miss Tourism. Now, as if my life became about pageants. So when I also Miss Tourism, when Miss Tourism ended, the first Miss Tourism, I was in it. I was like, now these pageant things, there is no money for me, there is nothing for me.
So you went up to number 10?
Even in Miss Tourism, we remained top 9. So I was in the top 9. Also Miss Uganda, I was in the top 10. So I think when I finished those, I first got a job as a waitress. Then I got a job at AfriSale. And now there, I think for me, the next thing was, I think now the next thing is to get married. Yes.
Tell us, actually.
So I was there, because I had grown up.
So all this time you didn't have a boyfriend, you were not dating?
I didn't have a boyfriend. I think when I was in Miss Uganda, I met someone who I tried to date, but it was long distance. So he would come here. When he comes here for a week, we go out, we go to all the nice places, then I go home. And then because I'm a Christian girl, I had these rules. We can't do this, we can't do the other. You
cannot start fornicating before.
Yeah, we can't start fornicating. And I think he didn't, for him, he wasn't a person of those values. So we had to end the relationship properly. He's like, I respect you, what? But for me, he was a person of the other values. So I don't have a long dating history. My life was always, I'm like moving from this to this pageant, yes. My dreams, my goals. I think also when I was at AfriSale in 2016, I went to Miss Africa Continent in South Africa. It was the first time they organized it. I think maybe they organized it 2 more times and it didn't work out. So I was 26, I'm not dating anyone. My friends are getting married.
And they keep inviting you to be the maid.
To be the bridesmaids, I'm there. I think I tried to be dating online, but I didn't like online dating because people would just start being weird. Someone wants you to send him certain pictures, and because I'm like, my Christian antennas were so high, I would be like, these things are not for me. I wouldn't have the persistence that maybe girls who have dated online and found actual love have. Me, I would date for like 2 weeks. You start sending me things I don't understand. I close the account. I'm like, these things are not for me. So I think we were at work, and of course even your colleagues be like, hey, your person, yakusima, you know, they keep asking you. Everyone is married, everyone has a child, and you're like that teenager in the office. So because they knew I was so Christian, she connected me to someone. And because my pressure was so internal, me in my heart, I'm like, I've always wanted to meet someone for myself. I don't want to be hooked up, for my phone number to be given to anyone and stuff. But in my heart, I'm like, it's okay. If he's Christian, give him my phone number. It's okay. Like now, the pressure was starting to build up. So I get into this relationship. Oh, he's Christian. I think my only standard was like, he has to be a Christian. I hadn't...
Ongoing Christian who goes to church,
Yes.
who practices values.
Yes, but because people can be Christian and then like they also want to do what the world does, I got my own problems in that relationship. I think that's where the journey of even writing this book would begin.
Tell us, what were some of those problems? Because now I want you to tell us about this book.
Yeah. So one thing I noticed, how I started seeing my own being unwhole, my own being unokay as a person, was that this person already started bringing in our relationships things that me I didn't like. Like, you know, they are pushing you to the edge to maybe fornicate, and you're like, no, but that is not right. But yet you're not moving away from the relationship. You feel like you can just talk to him, try to fix him, because you're too desperate to get married.
People are getting married.
Yes,
you're there.
for you here, you want to also...
People are getting 2 children, 3.
So I was really, it was very, very toxic, a relationship, and I had stayed too long. The person had emotionally abused me. He would come and tell you that, you know, the most heartbreaking things, because he wants to break your confidence so that you can give in to what he wants. You can give in to moving in with him. And that they call it PTSD or PSTD, that post-traumatic stress what?
Yes.
It stayed on for years. The relationship was just 11 months, but I kept depressed 1 year, 2 years.
Yes.
And in my mind, I kept waiting for him. I'm like, he will change and come back to me. Until pictures were sent to me by mutual friends. He has even kuchalad somewhere else. So the friend sent me, she's like, Kellen, I thought this was you. So madam who was waiting, you can imagine how even more broken I was.
Because did you love him?
I really loved the idea of the relationship. When I look back, when I read in my journal the kind of qualities I wanted to have in my person, I can't say that I was even attracted to him or that I liked him, but I liked the idea of we are going to get married. That was his bait. That was what he was offering me. And I think maybe because I grew up in a single parent home, I also looked at getting married as a very difficult thing. I grew up feeling like it is so difficult to get married. Because I used to pray for my mom to get her husband, like, you know, when I'm seeing her alone, my dad has married someone else, I would be like, you know, she also needs to get someone. So when it was my time to get into that, I really saw it as a very difficult thing, because I would pray for one thing, but if one person crosses my line and say, I want to marry you, what? They could be a Muslim. In my heart, I'm like, God, I'm going to work with this. Yeah,
and when God presented?
So, but of course, you know the things of relationships. Just because someone says they want to marry you, it doesn't mean that they are right, or like they have the capacity for that kind of relationship. So, again, you have to be so keen. But when you were like how I was, like it was so difficult for me to be prudent.
Then how did you come up with writing all this book?
So I get out of this relationship. I finally accept that, okay, this person wasn't for me. They've even maybe moved on with another person. But I'm too hopeless. Like, I don't have this mind of like saying, oh, another person will come out, I'm beautiful, what? I didn't even have that self-esteem. I wasn't always someone who sits there and think, oh, I'm beautiful, I always over-identified with the issues at home, like, oh, we don't have money, we have this issue. So like my identity was so much in those things. So anyway, time passed, my mom passed, and then I was there alone. Then someone else comes around. This is 2022. The other relationship ended in 2018. Now we are in 2022.
3 years after.
About 4 years
coming
later.
to 4 years, yeah.
Yes. And what I didn't realize is still I hadn't worked on my mind. I was still dealing with anger from the other one. How could they disappoint me? What? Like, so this guy comes around. I really can't say that I was also excited about him, but I was excited about someone just coming to talk to me, giving me some attention. And he had already his bad things. Like the good thing about people with red flags, tebekweka or mukama akulagirawo, they will speak. It's who they are. It's what they exude. You just choose to ignore it. And even when I was writing this manuscript, I researched so many other women who say they've been in a toxic relationship, and they would say, I saw something right from the get-go.
Actually, you always see the red flags within just the first 2 weeks, even just the first encounter.
Yes.
You sit, but because of the idea you've said that you have this idea of being in a relationship, so it kind of overwhelms and covers everything,
Yes,
because
yes.
you're not focused on the person, but of the idea and the feeling,
So he comes around, he tells me all these nice things I want to hear, and of course marriage, and that's the thing I'm so excited about. But he already has had his issues, even the conversations he would make, he drinks, he has had this entire past. And then I'm like, how could you have lived life like that? Women, what? He's like, oh, now I'm working on myself. I've decided to change.
And here is Kellen, who is looking out for marriage.
I'm like, okay, I think, since you've decided to change, but all the bad manners are there. He's trying to call me to meet him at his place or what. And me and Matt, I'm like, Panang, I don't want to be dating a guy and we are at your place, Simanyi, we are at my place. I don't want.
So tell us, like in just a few minutes, you can wrap it up by telling us why the journey to wholeness, why this book?
So why that book is because I really, in this second relationship, I narrowly survived. I narrowly survived because I stayed around. Of course, I was putting my boundaries out there, but he still found a way of maybe convincing me to go to his house. And in my heart, I'm like, okay, I've told him no fornication, what, but he tried to force me into something, and then I narrowly survived. So when I got out of his house, actually I had seen cocaine in his house. I had seen things he was talking about, like they are in the past, and now they are present. Cocaine is in your house. I'm seeing weapons in your house. And that's where the light bulb went off for me. I'm like, okay.
Calm down.
Calm down, because this person has been talking this talk all this while, and you want to sugarcoat it with how he has told you he wants to change. Now he's almost raping you, and then you go to his house and all these things are there. And then we had a mutual friend that we had talked about. So in my heart, I'm like, let me ask her about this guy. When I asked her, she's like, I really hope you've not done anything with that person, because the last I heard, he's positive. He dated a friend that we knew very well, and he was her first boyfriend, and she got sick and she died. And he dated someone who are related to, and she's sick right now. And that friend was actually in Europe. She's like, Kellen, I'm coming in the summer. I need to see you, but if you don't want to tell me the truth, look for medicine and try to take care of yourself already. That is where the light bulb went off for me. That's where I woke up. I'm like, okay, madam, you even saw the red flags, like there's nothing that you didn't see or hear. What is it about you that makes you think you can hold on
And
you can't,
change people?
yes, and change people? What is it about you that makes you think you can't just wait for a better person? Why do you always think genda nacho? So instead of being there saying, oh, men are bad, what, I had to deal with myself because I'm also contributing to the equation. Other people are getting good ones. How come me, I'm always finding
And yet
myself
you're
with
this
a bad
prayerful
one?
person,
Yes.
you communicate to
I'm
God.
praying, and I even know what I'm praying for, but I'm letting the opposite into my life. So that's what inspired that, because the first thing that God revealed to me was like, marriage is an idol to me. Like I was idolizing it that much.
You're not letting God to do his will.
Yes, I'm willing to risk it all so that someone can come in my life. So
this is what made this book, Learning to Value Yourself as a Single Lady. So if anyone came right now who is has all the values, the principles, the what, would you jump into it?
no, because now I've learned, my mindset used to be they are doing me a favor. I used to see myself as this disadvantaged girl that I don't even know what made me believe that, but me, I just saw myself as like, it's hard to get married. But now I've changed. I'm like, no, I have something to bring. You're coming to me because you want me to offer you something. Maybe my womb to carry your children, my faith to pray with you, to do life with you. Like that is my value already. So I'm going to check, are you the kind of person I want to give that to? Do I want to take all my value, all the rest of my life, and give it to you? Like, so that gives me room to scrutinize the person, other than just jumping in because they've said marriage.
And they have talked about all these sweet things, which
yes,
is just in a bubble world.
Yes, so now I'm much more comfortable being alone. Like, because back then I just wanted to run out of singleness. But now I'm
you
thinking...
should then watch this movie of being single.
Yes.
It actually has something similar like that. Like there's this lady who was idolizing the idea of being being in a relationship, that she never in her entire life had been single. Then she realized that actually she needed to be single to, evaluate herself. And it's such a nice movie. Look out for it. Being single.
I will.
You will enjoy it. But this is really a beautiful work.
Yes.
It's nice to have someone, look at it in a different perspective. And now how do people get you? How do people get the book? If we want to know, you said you want to be a philanthropist, but I believe that there are other ways you can help other people. How do people get to you? Maybe you can give us that insight.
Okay, the book is in Uganda Bookshop and Mukono Bookshop, but I also have a website, kellenkenlin.com is the website, and on all my socials, I'm called Kellen Kenlin. That's my handle. So I can, if you're here in Kampala, you can write to me on my socials and I can have it delivered to you if you don't go to the bookshop. And also on my website, you can get a soft copy and a hard copy.
How much?
The hard copy is 25. The soft copy is 20 on the website.
So I think that people, especially women who are struggling to think that they're the only ones who are single, should actually get time to read this book.
Yes.
I'll read it and see. Yeah. But I believe that it's good to have someone come up with such an idea, because the world we are living in now, people are really idolizing the issue, the idea of marriage. I've seen people become depressed.
To check your intentions. Now for me, because I had grown up in a single parent home, there's part of me that felt like the love I didn't get maybe if in a relationship that was so close with a dad, I will get in a marriage. Like, it's so much about looking at those triggers, like what is overly triggering you that you're willing to even stay there for a person who is beating you, abusing you, disrespecting you, because no woman wakes up and they're like, I'm going to date someone who is making me sign out of my values, doing this and that to me.
Someone who's going to force you to do things which you're not comfortable
which you don't want
with.
to do. It takes a mindset. And the message I want to give women is like, we shouldn't even contribute to that conversation. Men are bad, men are what? Like, the bad men are there, but the good ones are there. It is your mindset. how are you thinking about yourself? Because that is what gets you the good man or the bad man.
Is that the last advice?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Kellen Nakaya. It's been really lovely having you, having a different, perspective about being single, because I know that most of the ladies actually, when you pass 25, you're heading to 30s, you start worrying a lot. You start looking out for boyfriends that you left, for those who have been dating, not loving yourself. So I think if you want to know more about this book, you can get it from her socials. She has already said that you can look out for Kellen. Kenlin. So you can look out for Kenlin. But also I think if you went and just wrote Journey to Wholeness, you can, Google it on Google, and then you can look out for it. Then you can go to Mukono Bookshop and you will get it, and then you will read it. I think her perspective is different. She doesn't really say that it is good to be single, but you should understand the concept of being single, and if you're happy with it, and how you can go about with it, how you can come out of it, how you should love yourself above all. One advice I can give is, when you love yourself, you'll know what your value is. When you love yourself, you'll know what your value is. You'll not be swayed away easily if you know what you want, and also if you value yourself. Because I know that most relationships, they are really hurt people who are heartless out there, who can put you in a corner and make you shrink from this bubbly person you've been to, shrink to the point that you will not understand yourself. But if you get advice, read books like this, seek out to people who have been there, you'll learn a few things, and maybe also empower yourself, especially the young ladies. You've heard from Kellen, from her own experience. Pray, love yourself, and look out for that person who has the values, the principles, the qualities, whatever you want from a person, that person should have. Even if they don't have everything, at least they should have the key things that will not derail your life, that will take you to the trenches. Anyway, these stories can only be here on Super Soul Sisters. That's why you come here and we share our stories. You get to know different perspectives of what people have gone through in their lives. And this is why we air this show on UBC TV. Thank you so much for watching. But before we go off, I would like to say that please pass by Dotash and look out for anything you want to put in your home, so that your home becomes a home. I would also like to encourage you to watch the show every Wednesday, 9 p.m. And if you miss it out, please catch us every Friday, 11 a.m. And if you happen to miss by any chance, always you'll catch us on YouTube. Actually, YouTube, you can watch all our shows. We've had so many people come here to share their stories. So all you need to do is to type Super Soul Sisters and you can watch. The show is just 1 hour, so it's enough for you to relax and to enjoy. With that information, I want to thank you again and encourage you to watch UBC TV, Inspiring Uganda Special Soul Sisters. My name is Jamila Luka. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.